there's just so much going on. Like, that's the police up there right now in the helicopters, LAPD. You know, they have helicopters. They're like little bees, like buzzing around a hive, you know, and like that's just like a visual representation of what like happens internally, you know, like we were just talking about how hard it is to even be out here with like all the noise and like all the chaos, and it's structured. It's like, so we're out here, I mean, to occupy is to just be aware, number one, and then to like acknowledge that awareness in others, and then to like refuse to participate. You know, and it has like a deep historical precedent, and we're like out here dealing with all of that at the same time, you know, as we're like struggling with like the present moment, we're also like struggling with all the past oppression as well.
To add on to that, I think the occupation movement, I think one of the reasons why I've been involved in it is because it attacks like one of the roots of this system, of the inequality of this system, which is our relation to the land. And saying like we have a right to be here on this land and to live and do anything we need to, like as a group, not as like individuals in our own separate little realities. But
so that kind of like the idea of actually taking space,
yeah,
and then creating an alternative model within that space,
yeah,
as a challenge.
You know, it's taking the responsibility for ourselves, like the people that are a part of this, to deal, you know, with actual things that are like relevant to us.
Yeah.
Like, everything that has to do with our daily lives, like, and not, you know, having to work for someone else that's totally alien.
We talk about corporate greed. We don't have the demands like we got one or two demands with all of the creative voices here. No, we got a cacophony of voices. Ellington Orchestra. Everybody got all the different voices, and Duke is not conducting. He just got one voice among others, but he's on the piano doing his thing. That's democracy in action at the symbolic point. This is democracy in action on the ground. We want democratic accountability of the 1% who own 40% of the wealth and get 25% of the income. The 1% that has got 83% of all the income growth in the last 25 years, and the 10% that got 100% of the income growth, which means what? 40% of our children of all colors living in or near poverty. That is a national disgrace. That's a moral abomination. Our working people and the vicious attack on our trade unions, public unions as well as private, as if they have been the source of the financial catastrophe as opposed to what was going on Wall Street. Let's just tell America the truth. Let's tell America the truth. And the condition of truth is always to allow suffering to speak.
What do you mean by neoliberal economics?
Well, this can't be broken down into a simple soundbite, which is why the corporate media has an advantage. They can make this look like a ragtag bunch of losers. But the reality is that every single one of these signs is connected by one thing, and that is the neoliberal economics that is driving the entire corporate world and the political world and the military world for the past several decades. It's a policy and a philosophy that favors the 1% over the 99%, and therefore it's creating all these chaotic and completely unsustainable and unjust conditions all over the world. Much worse than what we're facing here. We're just seeing the beginnings of it here.
I'm out here because I'm tired of living paycheck to paycheck, having anything to save, hold on to. I'm tired of being sick and not being able to get looked at by doctors because I do not have health insurance. If I did, I could not afford it. I'm out here for my family who are struggling as well. You know, not be able to save anything and just sometimes going hungry. I'm out here to support everyone out here. We definitely need a movement where everyone comes together. That we don't divide. United we stand, or divide we fall.
Right.
That's why I'm out here.
Thank you.
the people that you're up against here, the people who run this country and run a good part of the world, are, very powerful people connected to the biggest economy in the world and certainly the biggest military force. And as you are successful, they will come at you. In thinking about this incredible project of reclaiming the country that you've initiated here, I'd only urge you to be aware of the obvious. The more you're successful, the more you're going to be attacked. The more you're attacked, the more you've got to be very clear that you're in it for the very long haul. In that, I don't know if this is one of your optimism things or not, you might want to take solace from the fact that the right has constructed this nightmare that they've turned American democracy into over a long period of time. They needed the time because they started out with values that are not widely shared by the rest of the population. If you really wanted to roll back the 1960s and really enact the Great Republican Program, which is basically to repeal the 20th century, oh no, I mean, well, it does get a laugh, but you ought to, I don't know if you know, but that is the explicit program. Karl Rove says this all the time, Grover Norquist says this all the time. The idea is to repeal not just the Great Society, the New Deal, but eventually the income tax itself, and get us back to a point of complete business domination of American public as well as private life, equivalent to that which obtained during the presidency of William McKinley. The idea is complete business domination, the destruction of all unions, secondary associations of all kinds that are not religious and supportive of business, the complete trashing of an affirmative state, et cetera, et cetera. That is the goal. That's always been the goal.
What is a popular assembly? Popular assembly is participatory, it is open, it is deliberative, it is decision-making, it constructs consensus, it is based on free association. Nobody is here if they don't want to be here. It embraces respect, and it is made up of assembled persons. Consensus is the final decision by a popular assembly on concrete proposals. There are two kinds of consensus. There is direct consensus. Then there is the more complicated kind. And one process we've worked out to achieve direct consensus is this, based on lots of observations and discussion. There is a proposal. A proposal does not reach consensus. Then we move to structured discussion. Can everybody hear me? Then we take temperature of the assembled persons. If there is still no consensus, we move to open discussion, which we'll explain in 1 second, amongst the assembled persons. Round 2 of proposals after discussion. No consensus? Refer to the appropriate committee or group for discussion and reformulation. All right, our symbology. We've introduced one new concept. Let's start out. I agree. 2. Okay. I agree. I support the decision. What is that? Beautiful. New one. I don't quite agree, but I'm willing to move on. Or I don't see it, okay? That's I don't quite agree, but I'm willing to move on. I am roundly opposed, adamantly opposed, and remember what that meant. Okay? Functional committees and affinity and thematic group committees, okay? It's a clear distinction that we laid out, and we want to present it to you to propose it as a definition, as a working. Functional committees fulfill logistical functions for Occupy LA, okay? They are formed here in General Assembly with the agreement of the General Assembly. They are nonviolent, participatory, open, horizontal, and democratic, just like everything here. These groups form proposals for joint action to present to the General Assembly for agreement. For example, if the Demands or Objectives Committee, they meet, they come up with a proposal for a specific demand or objective, like say a Robin Hood tax, they come here and present it to us to be agreed upon before it is disseminated as Occupies LA's statement, okay? So affinity thematic groups meet for discussion on various themes. They hold events, they have fun, they work, they coordinate with committees to avoid overlap. That's very important.